Hello, everyone. Welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for another edition of YBMcast. Today we are continuing, I should say, our GAC Coach's Preview. And today on the show we have from the Washington Blue Jays GAC Central head coach Dane Gough.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it,
man. I honestly didn't know you and Eric were brothers. I found that out when we were at the
Yep, absolutely.
the conference.
If you'll ask him, he is my smaller, not as wise brother. So
if we ask him, right?
Yeah. Well, he'll tell you. I was able to beat him up when I was 12 years old. So he's 9 years older than me. So he'll tell us. You can ask him. So he knows.
Oh man, I opened up a can of worms there. Sorry, Coach.
No, it's all good.
Coach and coach, whoever I'm talking to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
And Dad's a coach too, so it's a family of coaches.
Is it really?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Very good. You guys, 9 years apart.
Yes, sir.
What was your first gig in coaching?
So my first gig in coaching was I coached 2 years at Troy Buchanan High School.
Oh, okay.
And then I moved to Washington with my wife, and we've been down there for 15 years now. Yeah. So this is my third year as a head coach down there. So I coached both softball and baseball until this last season when I retired from softball, just so I could spend more time with my family. And now the head baseball coach. So,
Very good. We talked with Kent Getzey a little bit. For our Legion baseball talk.
Absolutely, yeah.
He's a good dude.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
That's the first time I'd met him.
Right, he does a tremendous job. And Washington still has a very strong Legion program. They won state, I think, last year, the previous year, and he's got a great run of success. He does a great job with those kids.
Yeah, he works very hard with those, and you guys got some talent down there.
Without a question, yes, sir. We play baseball very well, and. We're happy. That's why I came up here tonight. I made the drive up here, and we had our last open field today, and before our dead period, and it was great, and great weather, and had about 40 kids there. It was awesome.
So folks, you're what you heard from Coach there. This is being recorded, so you may see you may be in dead time by the time you see it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
so just an FYI.
Appreciate that. I don't need to miss you after us. So.
Oh, that's good. 2022, you guys were 16-17 overall. You were 4-6 in the GAC, and it seemed like every time I was watching a game, I mean, you guys were split. You would split. You'd win one, lose one, win a couple, lose one, lose a couple, win one, and it just kind of seemed like that was kind of what happened throughout the year, Coach.
Yeah, absolutely. We were 16-17. We were a 500 ball club right at it. We'd split a game or two together, and then we can kind of kick the ball around a little bit and then be back to even. And we could never go on the run of getting 5-8 games in a row to get a good record, which you're going to be plus 7-8 wins in the win columns. You need to have a big run like that. So.
You need at least one. Right?
Absolutely, yeah, without a doubt. So, and then I credit that part to our schedule. I mean, if you looked at our schedule,
You didn't run away from anybody.
No, and that's something, as my opinion, we're a 5A school, and then GAC Central. And if you lined up enrollment 1 to 17 now in the GAC, we're right in the middle, 8-9. And so I feel that it's my job to prepare our kids for the toughest deal in districts, and I want to play good teams and play the upper level teams in the GAC.
Well. And then you lost a very close game to a good Helias Catholic team in districts.
Yep.
It wasn't a walkover. You played very well in districts.
Yep.
So that goes to your point, Coach.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was something I always tell our kids. I say, I always say to beat a man, you got to beat the man. The old Ric Flair line. I'm a firm believer in that. If we want to play at a high level, we need to take high level competition.
I was waiting for him to go woo.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, right. So absolutely. If you want to play good baseball, you got to play good teams, and sometimes you're not going to win every game, and that's something. It's funny you say that because we had our C meeting. So Washington, if you didn't know, was in Franklin County. It's not in St. Charles County. It's southwest of this.
Yeah, you guys are the outlier.
Yeah, we're the outlier, and It's fine, but it's just what it is. So we get grouped with a lot of times with the Columbia schools, Just City schools, and so our district last year, I remember we went to seed our teams, and our record was 500 or so. But I looked at it and I remember we were 3-0 against Class 4 teams. We were around 500 or so around Class 5 teams, and we were like 6-12 or something like that against Class 6 teams, which I said, guys, we've played a tough schedule. I'm a firm believer in that. If you want to get better, you need to play competition, because not only if you rise to your opponent, but then also too, your younger kids see, hey, this is good baseball, and this is what the GAC has to offer, and that's something we want to compete. That's what you got to do.
And I think it sets a tone for competing.
That's a good way to put that. I like
right?
that. Set the tone. Absolutely.
For competing for spots. If you want to come play for this team, you better show up at tryouts ready to compete.
Absolutely. And see the commitment and see what other teams do. And absolutely. And that's something where, sophomore sees that and goes, oh man, I open his eyes and say, hey, this is what I got to commit to this. So,
and to those guys, you got 12 returning seniors.
Yeah, we got a
big class.
Yes, sir.
And I saw you guys play. I think you were playing Seckman. It was Seckman in that early tournament.
Mm-hmm. That was the first game of the year.
Yeah, and it was at West.
Yeah.
And I saw Morgan Copeland pitch.
Yep.
I really liked him. That kid, he was solid for us.
Absolutely. I mean, it's 53 innings pitched for us, so he did a tremendous job. He didn't ever break 80, but he was your definition of a great high school pitcher. He changed speeds, located, did everything you asked.
He kept the defense on their toes.
Absolutely. Ball and play.
And the thing about it too, Coach, a lot of soft contact, a lot of ground balls that are easy to field.
Absolutely.
You're not getting that
smash.
No,
yeah, absolutely. And that's something we preach to, especially if you're not going to pump 85 or above, you got to pitch the soft contact, and we got to play defense.
Absolutely. So. And you got that young man in the middle there. As we're talking, we'll get to him, but that's the other one that really stood out in my mind as I was watching guys play is Sam Pauly.
Absolutely, yeah. Sam Pauly, senior, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing him. But pitching wise, you lost Copeland, but you got some guys coming back. Let's talk a little bit about some of these. One in particular, I mean, we're talking about Gavin Matchell.
Mm-hmm.
He threw a lot of innings for you.
Yep.
Grant Trentman also threw a lot of innings for you. Ian Junkin. So how are these guys fitting in the mix? Where are you going? What are you seeing from some of the younger guys you got coming up?
Well, yeah. So those three are those are your three guys. I would say going in day one right now, those are your three guys that are going to be our innings guys, shaking out who's going to be 1, 2, 3, and who's going to be. It's a conference. Once you get in a conference, and I think most of the viewers know that the GAC conference schedule is Tuesday, Wednesday, and then you kind of play non-conference Thursday, Friday. So it's kind of the reverse of college baseball. So really, it's who's the Tuesday starter, who's the Wednesday starter, and then are one of those guys going to be a reliever, or is they going to be the non-conference starter? So again, those three names come up. Let's see, another one. Drew Bungie is be a lefty for us. He's made some big strides. He's figuring in the mix. Another guy, Peyton Stroutman, figuring in the mix, and then Hunter Bakermeyer is a junior coming in. And then Mason Tice will be a sophomore that might compete for some innings on the varsity level. So this year, and I got it's a good problem to have. And you say you never could have too many arms. So that's something where, we're looking to compete at all those levels.
Because I know when I brought up the name Gavin Matchell with Kevin Mulder from PBR, he was like, "Oh yeah, he's on the radar. That kid, not just pitching, but overall, he's a solid athlete.
He's a horse. That's what I say. He's a big, strong kid, and he does everything you ask. So,
do you have any of those guys that really, when you start talking, and we're looking at this, and you look at the GAC Central, you're matching up. Tuesday, Wednesday, at Holt, Dalton Hosack, Kyle Edgar, you got Seth Bennis.
Yeah.
And they've got a couple guys behind him that I think are coming.
Yeah.
You got McGill.
Yeah.
Over at East, and I think he's got some guys behind him that are in that low mid 80 range. I know I'm missing guys.
Well,
Tanner Paschke at North, South,
Carter, Yep,
you know.
that was the name. That's the name that came to mind because he lefty. He shoved against us last year. I know that we had no answer for him. So I know he's coming back and be bigger, better than ever. So
and I saw Carter at the PBR event in February. Talked to him a little bit. I like that kid. He's a nice kid. He really is fun to talk to. But as we're saying, preparing for districts. You don't have to look much further, do you?
No, sir. And that's just the GA. You're just talking about the GAC Central. We're not even talking about the big boys, which is a whole different animal because that's, but yeah, absolutely. So, I mean.
So how do your guys, I just want to look at that. I was leading to that. How are your guys? Are you guys matching up with on those Tuesday, Wednesdays? You feel good about that?
I feel more confident going into this year than any of the 2 previous years, going into feeling that, hey, we have a chance to match up. Man, oh man, on that. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like, those 3 guys that you said are definitely going to compete for those 2 spots and be able to match up and have some good duels in conference. Sweet. For sure. It is, sweet. That's right. That's a good thing.
I love that because that's what creates the good baseball.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, and that's something
us, the fans.
Right. Well, and then 2 years ago, Zumwalt South went to the Final Four in Class 5, and then last year Zumwalt East, of course, went in Class 5, and it's a daunting schedule. So. Yeah. Absolutely. And then I was looking at our schedule, and we were 4-6 in conference last year. We split with everybody but Zumwalt North. Zumwalt North got our number twice. We lost the 3-2 game in 10 innings the first time, and then we got our Daubers down and weren't ready to go, and we didn't play very well the next day, which is high school baseball. That happens. So
it does.
Yeah. So absolutely, it's something where
kids learning how to compete.
Bingo. I like your style.
Defensively, we always start, of course, I say this every time. I know everybody's probably tired of hearing it. I don't care. The old pitching and defense, hit a couple bombs and go home. Always said if it was good enough for Tommy Lasorda, it's always good enough for me.
Yes, sir.
So we're going here behind the plate. Let's start there. Do you have a returning guy? Do you have a couple guys you're looking at? Where's that at?
Yeah, so we got a couple guys that are in the program returning. I would say Weston Meyer is going to be a senior. He's going to be competing for the job. We got another senior that will be competing for the job. His name's Peyton Stratman. And then we're going to throw a sophomore in the mix, and his name's Ryan Kassenbaum. So open competition there. Yeah, he's the sophomore. They all look good, and they're all going to compete to try to win that opening spot. So it's not a competition of weakness. We're not going in going, so old adage, if you got 3, you don't have 1. I think it's I could see any of those 3 winning the job there. Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
So
I like that because that's the dude, right? He's got to know the staff, and I think, and we've been talking about this. And I was talking, we did a player spotlight recently with William Zera from Webster Groves. And I asked him that question. He's a catcher. When you're seeing the different speeds, I think it's harder in high school because you might see a kid one day that's 85 and then the other kid's 78, and maybe one's got a little more run than the other. I think that's really difficult as a catcher, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And a hitter. I mean, that's what, if you come down to it too, that's hitting. It's the consistency of the velocity. So, absolutely.
Exactly.
In high school baseball, there is such thing as below hitting speed because it's hitting tempo, and then you're working that changeup or cutter or slider, whatever they're off of it. So you can live below 80. Heck, it can't happen. I'm not saying it's good. You're not always going to work, but it can work.
So, of course, you got Sam Pauley was a shortstop. He's back this year.
Absolutely.
Who's that kid at second base that you're looking at there?
There are several different options there. You were to ask me, and you are asking me, what's your open spots? That is a pretty wide open position that can be won by several different guys. I see you could say, I'll say the name Hannon Jarvis. I'll say the name Grant Trentman may be there when he's not pitching. Brock Laughlin Laughlin was there today working out, and then a kid named Jacob Weidel. So that is, to me, going into the season, a wide open position that we're looking to see who can win that job.
And that's the tough thing, because there it is. I love that. That's okay. There you go, fellas.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Go win the job. And that's something, yeah, absolutely.
Coach says, hey, I'm looking to see who wants that.
Yeah. And it's going to be a mix and match a little bit, because I think Hannon's going to come in. Hannon played some third for us last year, DH some. He's coming in as one of my top returning hitters. It was funny, going into this, I looked at my district starting lineup for that Elias game when I came in. I was like, all right, what am I actually, where are we bringing back? Top 5 hitters are coming back. And then one other, Trentman would have been my 7 or 8 hitters. So when you return your top 5 hitters at any time, you got to think they're going to be better than they were the previous year.
If they're working, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You would hope. Yeah. Center field. Mm-hmm. Do you have that kid that's going to run those balls down, Coach?
Yes, sir.
Who you got?
Aiden Pekka.
Aiden Pekka.
First team all-conference last year, first team all-district. So led off for us a lot. He's a ball hawk out there. I was talking to our staff. He honestly might be my number 2 shortstop going into it, just because he's an athlete. He's not. He hasn't played a lot of. He's played infield, little kid. I remember little league and stuff, but just talks to staff about, hey, he might be the option, because I would say Grant right now is going to play second base when he's not pitching. I would just say that's kind of it, but it's a deal where. He's going to pitch. So you got to have a second base. So right. We, had the scenario of, okay, if Grant's pitching and Sam's not available, who's our starting shortstop? And it might very well be Aiden Pekka. So, and that's something that we might build off of. So
it's always good to have,
excuse me.
You bet. It's always good to have athletes. I mean,
oh yeah.
And we've talked about that. I've talked about that. Kevin Mulder has, that's one of the things he says on the program, just on the podcast when we're talking about baseball. Don't say you can't play somewhere. Go and figure it out.
Right.
Get on the field and see where it takes you.
For sure.
And I think that's and Major League Baseball is becoming that.
Yeah, absolutely.
How many guys can play? So you look at Brendan Donovan. For the Cardinals, that guy's the Swiss Army knife, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, you got to be able to be versatile and be able to do different things.
Where haven't you played?
Right. Absolutely.
So. Catcher, because it's Yachty, right?
Right, yeah. Yeah, it's a good problem to have, right?
It doesn't suck.
Yeah.
We'll put it that way. So you got those guys on the corners that you're looking to make those corners solid. Solid, Coach. Who's there?
Well, I'd say the third base, it'd be looking at either Jacob Weidel or Hayden Burns. I think that's pretty wide open competition there. Maybe another junior named Ethan Rowe. So all 3 of those guys are getting reps there right now. First base is going to be a combination of maybe Hannon Jarvis, maybe Drew Bungie, and maybe Kaner Young. So I had that conversation with our coaches today. It is truly wide open. We're going to play the best guy at each position. I'm 99% sure that Sam Pauley is my starting shortstop, and I'm 99% sure that Aiden Pekka is my starting center fielder. So, other than that, I think it's pretty wide open, and it's going to be the best guy go win the job. So and I always like to bring this up, not because, but it's always interesting to me, because Class 6 is a whole different world. Yes,
because
sir.
they schools the amount of talent that these guys are cutting, guys that you'd go, I'll take that kid, right?
That can happen.
That happens.
Yeah,
it happens.
Yes,
it's
sir.
Not always, but it happens.
Yes.
How many kids do you have coming out for the program?
Let's see. I would say for the junior senior class, I probably have coming out that they're going to be interested, probably 20 to 25-ish. Yeah, I mean, that's probably about it. We'll probably have, I think we're going to have about maybe 15 or 20 sophomores, and then we'll have probably 30 freshmen or so. So we'll have, it's decent numbers.
You got some good numbers for a Class 5 school.
Right, yeah, and that's something, it's a good problem to have. And I think we will unfortunately have to make some cuts. I mean, that's part of it. You can't keep everybody, but I think that's it's a good, like I said, good problem to have and figure things out.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
Yep.
Offensively, Coach, you had some guys, of course, Pekka, Pauly coming back. Pekka's slash line was 340, 424, and 417, and Pauly was 3. I'm saying that right, correct? It is Sam Pauly.
Sam Pauly, yep.
316, 407, 408. Hannon Jarvis, you mentioned, he's back, 299, 17 ribbies. Gavin Matchell was 293, 24 RBI, 2 home run. Got a little muscle.
Yes, sir.
And Ethan Stellhorn here.
Yes, sir.
2 home runs. Good slugging, 310. You got some guys, as you said, your top 5. That's those guys,
Those are
right?
the top 5 right there. Yeah, go figure. So, and going in this year, who knows? But last year it was Pekka, Stellhorn, Pauly, Jarvis, Matchell. So, and that again, I'm not tied to that or anything like that. So
I understand.
Yeah.
So who are those kids you're looking for to step up offensively? Are there some guys from last year that you think have been working and you think are
right?
Gonna,
well, I think Hayden Burns is one that has been putting in some time, and
he's a sophomore or junior.
He's gonna be a junior. He's a junior.
Okay.
So yeah, he's junior. I think if his bat continues to progress, if he's not playing at third, he may be DHing some. But I think we can try to find a way to get his stick in the lineup for sure. That's one. And I think the catcher position is going to have to contribute as well, whoever wins that position. So I think that's part of it. And then, same way with first base. So, and Grant Tripman will swing the stick too as well. So he's when he's pitching or playing second. So, yeah.
There you go. Mm-hmm. When you're talking about I should say every varsity head coach is relying on those guys at the JV freshman level to work with those kids, develop. You're new in that program.
Yes.
This your third year.
Year 3, yes, sir.
How are you working with those freshman JV coaches? And you throw names out. I'd love to give those guys some love.
Right.
To develop the program itself.
Yeah, so I think we do something a little differently than probably a lot of programs. We practice together a lot, like getting 9-12 together, and I think it's something where it's not necessarily just, hey, varsity's on the field, JV, get out of here. Like it's what we do. I do a lot of keeping everybody together. Like if it's infielders, it's all the infielders because I want those opportunities for those older guys to teach the younger guys. So I think it's something where, no, don't be wrong. There's times where you need to do varsity practice and you got to get your cuts and your bunts and your first and thirds and all your checklist of things done. But if it's defensive individual time, I try to make sure they're working together. So that's number one. That's like, try to incorporate that and get that. It gives you that family feeling of, hey, this is all together. So then it's not that awkward deal of, hey, and Brian, you're junior. We want you to go get a game at JV. We don't have that awkward conversation. Hey, get some reps down there. You already know everybody and everything's good. But to answer your question, so I would say my sophomores I'm looking to build off of would be Mason Tice's name. He'd pitch for us a little bit. Ben Losing will be playing outfield for us and pitch. Ryan Williams will play some infield for us and pitch. So those are guys that play JV as a freshman. So those guys will look to contribute. In the freshman class, there's a few that are showing up that I think that are actually as their basketball players getting ready to show up. So there's a few that you think you've seen at camps. So you're like, okay, I think you can contribute, and we'll see how that goes. So
who's your freshman and JV coaches? So
I've got JV coach. His name is Tim Zumsteg. He's a Washington alum. He's a varsity assistant softball coach now, and he's been the JV coach with me the whole time. He was doing JV before. And then my C team coach is his name is Jeff Beck. So he's a Texas.
There's the name, Jeff Beck, right?
Yeah, exactly. He's a Texas man. So he's from Texas and Longhorn at heart.
Plays a little guitar.
You know what? I bet he does. So for sure. So
couldn't help it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. For sure. So yeah, those are. And then my varsity assistant's name is Matt Crater. So he's a Washington guy too. So yeah, it's been great.
And as working with those guys, you've got to. How are you creating that feel throughout as far as language? Do you communicate with and ask for the staff, your freshman JV coaches, to deal with the language, how you're communicating in a similar fashion as you do?
Well, yeah, absolutely. And I think that goes back to practice. We practice together a lot. So when we kind of have our roles and what we want to focus on and how we want to do things. And yeah, absolutely. I like the way you said that. The language of it is, hey, are we saying how we handle cuts or how we handle bunts, how we handle play calls, how we doing everything, and that just all incorporates together in how we run things. So yeah,
because as well, you've been around the game long enough,
right?
The way somebody approaches how they say about their hands moving through the zone in hitting is different for this coach to that coach to that coach, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So somebody hears the same thing their whole career, and then all of a sudden it's like, what does he mean by that?
Right, absolutely, and that's something, yeah, because then we have some program-wide goals and things that we want to set up and how we want to handle things, and yeah, and maybe that's somewhere again all your coaches are working together. Like you said, I might say it differently than my coach here. Well, that makes more sense. Okay, well then he's saying the same thing. He's just using different verbiage. So go with that.
Yeah,
absolutely. And
exactly.
That's something where I tell the guys all the time. I'm they're like, you're a great coach, whatever. And I said, guys, we're the sum of everything. Like I'm as good as my assistant JC team coach. If you don't know what you're talking about, then you're not helping. You're not helping the program, and you're not helping Brian get better here. When you're a freshman, how are you going to help me as a senior if you're not getting that good coaching? So exactly. I'm extremely happy with my staff. Since you brought it up, I got two more guys I'm going to shout out to. Aaron Luttrell's one of my assistants that kind of floats around. And then James Kramer is new to the district this year, and he coached at Parkway South last year. Now he's new, and he's helping out this year. So if you said the coach's name, I want to say all of them and get them all out. Absolutely. So yeah, absolutely. And it's and that's a rarity too. And hopefully that's the culture we bring in, that guys want to be there and help. And there's not every program has 6 guys, including myself, that want to help and be part of something. So
it makes a difference, doesn't it?
Absolutely. There's without question.
If you don't want to be there, that creates and. I think this is what's interesting about that, coach, as you bring that up, is kids understand that. They feel that too.
Oh, yeah.
And if they don't have the ability to relate to what's being said or taught or whatnot, then that's a problem, because they have to be able to relate to the information, be able to apply it, and work it out on the field.
You got it. Can't say it any better.
If you can't do that, you're in trouble.
Yep. For sure. You're exactly right.
So, good luck to you.
Yes, sir.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
Yes, sir.
First time we got to, I know we'd been talking, but pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I felt like I snuck out of my open field a little bit early. I was like, hey, and they're like, where are you going? I'm like, I'm actually going to do a podcast to talk about you guys. Really? Like, yeah. So they're, and I felt like, with the 12 seniors, I felt like, hey, I'm going to take the effort, because they're a good group of kids. They're great. They work hard, and we're looking to build something here. So, go ahead. What were you going to say?
No. I'm just glad. I really enjoy the GAC especially, because we're trying to work to get more and more of that, and talk to the coaches and bring these kids out, because there is some really good baseball in the GAC.
There's without question. There's no doubt. It was the best conference in the state. So top to bottom, and we're, like I said, we're in the Central, so we're not quite with the big boys, but I still say our conference is no slouch either. So
but that's why there's classifications. Class 5, and then you have Liberty, which is Class 6, and I think who else?
I think Holt will be going down this year.
I think they're going to 5.
They'll be 5.
I know South was Class 6 last year. It'll be interesting to see where they sit. But you got top echelon. There's a lot of good Class 5. I mean, like you said, South and East in the Final Four the last 2 years.
Yes, sir.
Liberty has got talent and a Class 6 school. Yeah. I mean, it's as big boy as it gets in the Central.
Absolutely. Without question.
So you got to go and compete. But again, thanks for your time, Coach.
Absolutely.
We'll look forward to seeing you again, man. Anytime.
Awesome. Yeah, appreciate it.
Talk some baseball.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Guys, head coach Dane Gough from Washington, the Blue Jays. So you Washington fans, get out there and make sure you're supporting your team. you remember it's free. You have to pay for basketball and football. You don't have to pay for football, right?
No,
or I mean,
baseball.
You don't have to pay for baseball.
It's a baseball
I said
podcast,
football.
so.
Yeah. Jeez. So make sure you get out there, support your guys. It's some really good baseball. I know Coach and the kids will appreciate it. So thanks again, Coach.
Yes, appreciate it.
Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Check us out. If you like what we're doing, subscribe. Right. We love Prime Sports Midwest. In there, that will get you in. We got a bucket of baseballs. We got a fungo. We got a hitting net back here to give away. Please do that. Thanks for tuning in. Everybody, all you pitchers, keep throwing strikes. Hitters, you got some advice for the hitters, Coach?
Swing hard.
Swing hard. There you go. I love it. We'll see y'all next time.